So, the Superman 5 movie collection comes out to 4K Blu-ray this week, and if you want to know if it's worth upgrading the original Man of Steel for your collection, well, let's get into it. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Brockopp side, a place to live, talk, and buy movies. And it's been a minute since I've actually done a proper 4K Blu-ray review, like 6 months or so, but hey, we're doing one now. That's what matters. Anyway, big thank you to Warner Brothers for sending me an early copy for review because I was really excited to check these movies out in 4K. I grew up with the original Christopher Reeve Superman movies, much like a lot of you did. First getting to check them out at my grandparents' house on VHS and upgrading to DVD, then Blu-ray, and then here we are today. The original Superman the movie, directed by Richard Donner, still holds up incredibly well 40 plus years later as an incredible achievement in comic book filmmaking before that was even truly a thing, and a lot of that is thanks to Christopher Reeve, who just embodies the character of Superman in such a perfect way that I don't think anybody is ever going to be able to top. Anyway, these movies are brought to us in this sexy format with a Dolby Vision HDR10 4K transfer and a Dolby Atmos sound mix, and as far as the picture quality is concerned, I do think these movies look absolutely fantastic in 4K. The colors pop like never before, the blacks on Jor-El's robe in the beginning are as deep as they've ever been. I think it's definitely the most impressive with Superman the movie because again, it does hold up so well many years later, and the 4K does a great job of bringing it into this new format. I know there was a 4K transfer of Superman the movie from a few years ago, but I never picked that up, but thankfully it still holds up incredibly well, whether you're talking about the cool crystallic production design of Krypton, or all the many shots of Christopher Reeve flying through Metropolis. Thankfully, those shots still hold together, because if you can't believe that a man can fly, well, these movies are gonna fall apart! I was really curious though as to how Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut, was gonna look in 4K, because it's this interesting amalgamation of footage, stuff that was shot simultaneously with Superman 1, because that's originally how they were going to shoot. Superman 1 and 2 was at the same time, not back to back, simultaneously, but then they decided to focus on one, and then the other, and then Richard Donner was booted off Superman 2, replaced with Richard Lester, and then 20 years later, Richard Donner got to bring his cut to life, but it gets interesting in a scene or two when they use test footage with Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder, and a couple of weird continuity issues aside, I think that scene does blend in pretty seamlessly with the rest of the movie, and it looks good on 4K to boot. There is a bit of a trade-off, however, like a lot of 4K transfers of classic movies like this. Yes, the picture and the sound are going to be brought up to a new level of clarity, but that also means it's going to emphasize some of the less than perfect special effects shots, like a couple of shots where people are on the street and you can really tell they were composited in later, or on the flip side of that, pretty much every special effects shot in Superman 4, like, holy fuck! But as far as the sound goes, I don't have any fancy speakers or any real audio equipment for my TV, but let me tell you, John Williams' Superman score never sounded better. And as far as bonus content goes, you get pretty much every piece of bonus content from other DVD and Blu-ray releases, from behind-the-scenes featurettes, commentaries, deleted scenes, and some classic 1940s Superman cartoons. Unfortunately, there's no brand new bonus content this time around, which is always a bit of a pet peeve of mine when it comes to cool re-releases like this, because I think it's a real missed opportunity to talk about the legacy of these movies and Christopher Reeve's Superman over the years, especially since now that Christopher Reeve and both Richard Donner are now sadly no longer with us. It could have been a really cool way to just kind of culminate 40 years of these movies into one just nice reflective featurette, but they didn't do that, which is also kind of a shame because this year is also the 85th anniversary of Superman himself, so what the hell? But before we do wrap things up here, let's take a look at the box art itself. You get this really cool slipcover with Superman and what appears to be the Fortress of Solitude, pretty cool. And on the individual 4K Blu-rays, you get this brand new uniform design, which I actually kind of like how these turned out. They've got a modern feel, but still capture some of the vintage aesthetic of the marketing from the originals. Now, of course, there's always going to be those people that would prefer they use the original posters or cover art for these, and I do understand that. But I think as far as some new cover art's concerned, this is an A for effort. Hi, hello, future Mr. Brockopp chiming in for a second. Yeah, I was just over there capturing all the insert shots for the different 4Ks and stuff, and I just happened to notice on the back of Superman 3 that apparently they used an image from Superman the movie. You know, the iconic scene where Superman takes Lois flying throughout the night sky and stuff. That doesn't happen in Superman 3, but it's on the back of the box, so I don't know how that little goof up happened, but it's your problem now too, so you're welcome. Overall, if you're a big Superman fan and just need all the pixels to experience these movies, then I highly recommend picking up this box set. Of course, you know, people aren't going to feel the same about all 4 movies. There's definitely a drastic change in quality with each one, so maybe you only want to get 1 or 2. That's where I think future individual releases will come in handy. But if you want to own all 5 in glorious 4K, then yes, go for it. And as usual, I am going to give away my digital code for these movies, but this is just one code for all 5, so whoever does get this is going to get all of them. There's no separate codes this time around. But anyway, if you do want to potentially win this super code, then comment down below what your favorite Superman movie is and why. It doesn't have to be one of these. It could be Superman Returns, Man of Steel, BVS, whatever it may be. Comment down below, and in about 24 hours or so, I'll pick the winner. But if you want to see how another DC movie looks in 4K, I got just the thing right here. Otherwise, subscribe if you live talking by movies, and we'll see you on the Brockopp side.